Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denanu, aka the man with the most biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And with this commentary video here, we're going to be talking about Antman and the Wasp. And I checked this movie out over the weekend, and it was exactly what, I wanted it to be. I was kind of worried because I think way back when, I don't know, sometime last year, something like that, they were saying, oh, Ant-Man's gonna be a romantic comedy, and I was like, what? That's the kind of theme they were putting with it. And I was like, I'm not sure if I like that all that much. I still wanted to be a superhero movie at the end of the day. But once the trailers and everything started coming out for it, I knew you could pretty much tell how the movie was going to be. They had the Wasp showing her mad respect because they was having her kick ass the whole movie. Matter of fact, she did most of the ass kicking. And Ant-Man was kind of he kind of felt like he was the sidekick in his own movie. But from what I understand, they didn't have to do it that way. They chose to do it that way. For those of you who don't know, Ant-Man and the Wasp were core members of the Avengers, and they were trying to put them in the Avengers movie when they were making it, but they didn't get a chance to actually get him in that movie, so they gave Ant-Man his own movie because they had to set him up. And this was basically probably half the movie is just showcasing Wasp and her character and things like that, and showing what she can do in the suit, which is way more efficient than what Ant-Man can do with his. But that just plays into their dynamic, and I'll get on that a little bit later in the commentary here. But and really impressed with what I saw. It's not gonna wow me like Infinity War did, where it's like, oh, it's gonna be the greatest thing ever. You can't come out of Infinity War and Black Panther and go to Ant-Man and be like, oh, this is gonna be the next big thing. Like, nah. Didn't even go into it like that. The only thing I was expecting out of this movie was I wanted to see Wasp kick butt, and I just wanted it to be a fun movie, because that's kind of what the first Ant-Man was. If you guys never seen it, it was more like a heist movie that was like, oh, we got this job that we got to do at the end of the movie, and here's this wacky group of characters that's gonna get it done. That's kind of how the first movie was. And with this one, the only thing that kind of worried me, that I thought they were gonna jump into, was by the trailers, it looks like the main villain is gonna be Ghost, who in this movie verse is a female versus a male. That's a weird change that that I don't know why they went with, because Ghost is usually an Iron Man villain. Like, he started in Iron Man. He was a big business corporate espionage type person, meaning like if you had one company and you was like, look, I want you to go over there and steal their tech. That's what he would go and do. He was that kind of person. That's why he was an Iron Man villain, because Iron Man is like one of the corporate guys in Marvel. When it comes to, you see a lot of his business side of his comic books. If you guys have never read an Iron Man comic, he's less of a superhero, more businessman in a lot of his comics. But since Ant-Man doesn't have any like signature villains or anything like that, they kind of sort of rolled him over right on into the Ant-Man movie. And it's not bad. The fact that they made it a female character, it is what it is. There have been at least probably, I want to say, like 2 or 3 different Ghost characters in Marvel comic books. So for them to just make this one female, they kind of had to make up a story. That's pretty much they had to roll with, because even the Ghost in the comics or the current Ghost in the comic books is far different from the Ghost that's in this movie, which is fine. Like I said, I don't see why they don't do that with a lot of other villains. Like, to me, comic book movies they're not getting stale. But just to go off on a tangent real quick, to me, they try to stick to the source material. I know I'm gonna get flack for saying this, but because I'm one of those people who like to stick to the source material. But when it comes to your villains, right? Not every story you have to tell has to be told from a comic book. Meaning, like, you don't have to be like, okay, well, how do we adapt Civil War to fit a movie? You don't have to do that. You could just make up a villain, make up a story, and just have the Avengers go fight said villain. You don't have to you know, dive out of the box or go into something that's already been done before. You can just pick a villain from Marvel comic books. There's billions of them, you know, or just take a villain and be like, you know what? Look, we have Magneto. Let's make him fight the Avengers. Why the fuck not? You know, they can just do that, or bring in Kingpin and have the Avengers fight Kingpin, or something. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have like Captain America fight the Serpent Society or Hydra or the Red Skull, you know, because that's been done like 50 billion times in the comic books. We don't have to see, you know, their signature villains and everything. So for them to just kind of tweak Ghost's character, pull him in, give her a different backstory and things like that, you know, I'm fine with that. Why not? It's still the same character. They still got the same powers, as it were. It's just a different person in the suit. That's how I see it. And this one was done pretty good. They kind of had to make up a backstory, like I said, and I don't want to give away spoilers in this, but they did a decent job. They tried to make it understandable as far as why they were the bad guy doing what they were doing. It was out of necessity. You know, basically something was happening to her, and it was as if you were put against the wall, like, look, I got to do this or else this is going to happen to me. It is what it is. And they kind of got you on her side to begin with. But the movie wasn't all about her. That's where I think it kind of floundered a little bit. The movie was pretty much setting up Wasp's character, explaining the quantum realm, because they got to get that out the way, because I'm assuming that's going to tie into the next Avengers movie and setting up future stuff. So they had to explain that. And basically, not really explain it, because I thought it was self-explanatory, but you got to tell why Antman wasn't in Infinity War. You know, so I thought they kind of did that in Infinity War when they said he was on house arrest after Civil War. So, but for those main people who, I guess, don't watch every movie, you got to kind of be like, oh, why are you on house arrest? So that was like the first 10-15 minutes of the movie, you know, was him on house arrest and them explaining like, oh, you know, it's because of this back in Civil War, why you did, you know. So they kind of had to get that out the way. They introduced the Wasp, but they had to showcase her, so that's why she's in most of the action scenes and stuff like that. Comedy and humor was still on point. The writing didn't feel all that good. Maybe because some of the jokes, like, I laughed at a lot of the stuff, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying it's not funny, but there was a few moments where it's like a lot of characters didn't really have anything to do. Like Wasp, she was there, she was a part of the action, she was a part of the story, but like dialogue wise, you know, she didn't really, I mean, she was in the movie, so she had talking scenes, I'm not saying she doesn't, but dialogue wise, like, she didn't give a whole lot to say, you know what I'm saying? So a lot of it, the movie, what people are saying online is that it was basically I'm not gonna say a joke-filled movie, but it was like, you know, kind of like how a sitcom has jokes, and you have a lot of reaction shots or sitcom type jokes and people reacting to the jokes on set of the sitcom. It feels like that. So that's how the writing feels. The writing feels like it was made for a sitcom. Maybe that's what they meant when they said that they were making a romantic comedy. You know, maybe that's, you know, maybe they got a sitcom writer to do the script. I don't know, but it definitely feels that way. Again, not bad, since they're going and making a fun movie for kids and adults and things like that. So you're going into it as like, oh, this is just a fun superhero kids movie, you know, so that kind of carries it. So you're not expecting like, you know, Shakespeare or Othello, or, you know, you're not expecting, you know, you're not expecting any Greek Odysseys, you know, when you're watching an Ant-Man movie. So they know, you know what you're getting into. That's what I'm trying to say. But the movie was damn good. You even had Lawrence Fishburne in there as Goliath. I thought that was pretty cool. They even had like a little dick measuring contest where he was like, oh, how big did you go? He was like, oh, I went like 20 something feet. I'm like, oh, I went 65, you know. I thought that was pretty cool, because Goliath was somebody else in the comic books who had the Pym particle technology that he got from Hank Pym, and, you know, that's his thing, you know, is growing big too. So he's like another character. He actually got killed during the original Civil War in the comic books. That was like a big turning point in that. Glad to see they rolling him in here. I don't know if he's going to be in any sequels or anything like that movie-wise, but I mean, I hope he is. It's like, you know, why not? But I have a feeling they're just going to be like one-off characters that they're probably never going to see again. But if Lawrence Fishburne does stay in the MCU, given his age, that's going to be a big one because normally they like to do things with like a 10-year plan and everything. But if he shows up in Ant-Man 3 or if he's a side character in one of the bigger movies, I would be happy. I'm trying to think what else. Them explaining the quantum realm. Let me jump on that for a quick sec. You had a lot of big science words that don't make a whole lot of sense. Let me just explain that. Anytime, like, they actually even make a joke about it in the movie where he was like, do you guys just put quantum in front of everything? Because they try to explain what the quantum realm is to, you know, the people who are watching the movie. And people like myself, comic book nerds, you know, if you read Marvel comic books and you know what the quantum realm is, you know what it is. But trying to get that concept across to like the average Joe moviegoer who don't know nothing about it, they had to kind of get that out the way, and it's a hard pill to swallow. This movie does have a lot of technobabble, as they call it, in movies and TV shows. And if you're somebody who don't like that, they kind of they know they're doing it in the movie. So usually, you know, at those points, they always have like either like Paul Rudd or Antman, you know, or somebody else be like, wait, speak English, or they make a joke about it, or you know, because they know they're explaining something. But me, I'm a science guy myself, you know, at heart. So a lot of the babble, if you listen to it, doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. So if you're somebody who likes realistic science in their movies, throw that out the window. You get down to it a little bit, it's like science to a point, but then once the babble gets halfway in, it's like, okay, well, that don't make sense because of this, and this don't make sense because of that. So I mean, it is what it is. You have to kind of go into it, like I said, thinking it's like a kid's movie where it's just like, oh, stuff is happening, okay, it is what it is. You know, I don't know how that's going to play into the future Avengers movies, but I have a feeling that it's going to explain either the time travel aspect that they, you know, jump on, unless they just pull a Doctor Strange and Wong finds like, oh, look, I have this time travel spell. Unless they do something like that, I don't see how they're going to do it. In the quantum realm, they kind of sort of explain that they mentioned time storms and time being irrelevant and time passes differently there. So I don't know how that will make somebody go back in time, because that kind of doesn't make sense. That's not how shrinking works, you know? like once you get that small, time doesn't become irrelevant. It's just either faster or slower than what you are when you're regular size, you know? Either you're really fast and the big people is really slow, so either time will pass faster, or if you wanted to play it the other way, time will go real slow, and then when you're regular size, it will go normal speed. It doesn't take you back in time to go back like 20 years. That's not how that works, but maybe in the MCU, maybe they're going to fudge the numbers a little bit, and, you know, maybe Hank Pym is going to work with Tony Stark, make some kind of time machine based on quantum technology, and then just be like, look, now we can go back in time. I have a feeling they might do something like that. So my science side is going to be hurt, but but it is what it is, and I'm going to probably love it anyway because it's a superhero movie. But the only other really big flaw, I can't really give it a flaw, you know, be a flaw, but if you were somebody who loved the side characters in Ant-Man 1, like Michael Pena, T.I., and his crew of people, they're only in like 2 or 3 scenes in the movie. But I mean, it is what it is. The movie's not about them, they're just side characters, you know, so you have to tell this. I mean, unless you're gonna make them a part of every story you make in every Ant-Man movie, it's gonna be like, you know, they're only side characters, so I mean, they're not the main draw in the story. So it's gonna be about Hank Pym, Ant-Man and the Wasp, and whoever the villain is in the movie, things like that. So I wasn't hurt that I didn't see them all that much, but I know a lot of people like Michael Pena in the last one. I wasn't one of them. I mean, I thought he was okay, but you know, he didn't wow me by any means. I'm trying to think something else that I can use as like a major con about it, but I mean, I can't really do it. I mean, the movie, outside of the dialogue, and like I said, outside of the dialogue, the technobabble, and just a few scenes kind of feeling like a sitcom, outside of that, I mean, it was alright. It was funny. It was nice. It was funny. The special effects were damn good. they made Ant-Man or Ant-Man and the Wasp more badass using the size changing and all that stuff, because they had it in all of the tech in the vehicles and stuff. Thought that was a really cool idea. And they just did their damn thing. I mean, it is what it is. They made a fun movie. I wish the villain's motivations, would have been there a little bit more, but if they'd have jumped into that, you wouldn't have had the, they didn't, they wouldn't have been able to showcase the Wasp as much. So it's a trade-off, you know what I'm saying? So I don't mind it as much, because maybe in Ant-Man 3 they can focus on to have a really cool villain like that. But I mean, they had to get the Wasp out there, and and she's gonna probably be a co-star in every other Ant-Man movie now that they've already got her out the way. So yeah, movie was fun. It was nice, fun, and it was enjoyable. If you're into Ant-Man and that style of a superhero, go see it. They do a hell of a lot more with the size changing that they did in part 1. And if you got kids, take them to go see this movie. I mean, kids will probably enjoy it because you have all the different effects and the size changing and the old look at that, look at that really cool moment. You got a few of those in there, so kids will enjoy all of that. So, but anyways, guys, let me know if you've seen the movie. Did you guys see Ant-Man and the Wasp? And let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. My name is the Nanu, the man with black privilege, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.